Hello, viewers around the world. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. I'm so excited to be with you today, and thank you for joining us at another episode of Climate Action 101. Well, today we're very lucky to have a very special guest in the house who is a game changer when we come to um, providing solutions on how individuals can get involved in climate actions in their communities and raise a team to change our world. And she's an awesome person in the person of Joan Gregerson, who is the author and the CEO of Green Team Academy. She's authored a wonderful book that helps young people and even people generally to get involved in acts and challenges that can help to resolve our climate crisis. She is also a host of the podcast. It's called
Green Team Academy.
yeah, yeah, Great Team Academy, and I think you also have a podcast on this is also on Great Team. Yeah, thank you on Great Team Academy, and like I said before, she's the author of that wonderful book on climate action challenge, a proven plan for launching eco initiative in 90 days. Thank you for joining us, Joanne.
I'm so happy to be here. I love
Thank you.
your ClimateTube show, and I'm just really happy to be here, especially for this Climate Action 101. So thanks for inviting me.
Thank you. I mean, you're doing incredibly great work that we can't afford not to hear you and get the voice, your messages out there, amplify what you're doing, so that much more people can. Because often, when we talk about climate change and actions that are needed to mitigate climate change, usually people wonder, okay, what are the actions that I can get involved in? And I mean, you've created a wonderful book about steps that individuals can get involved in to create an eco initiative in 90 days. And but before we dive into the book, I just like to, and I think my audience will also like to know more about you. And can you describe to us what was as a child, what were some of the childhood experiences you had that connected you with nature?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Um, yeah, I think I was lucky that I'm the seventh of eight kids. So, so it was pretty wild and crazy, as you can imagine. If you had eight kids, um, my mom's favorite expression was "go outside and play," so that she could walk around without bumping into all of us and all the chaos, right? So I was lucky that I grew up climbing trees and playing outside in the yard and digging holes in the backyard and all that good stuff. So and also I grew up in Colorado, and the weather's nice pretty much all year round. So we spent a lot of times just up in the mountains and playing in rivers and making snowmen, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy, just being outside a lot. So that was really nice.
Wow. So what was that? What actually led to the? Well, at some point in time, you went into academy. You're an engineer, I understand. And so, what brought you back into focus on climate change issues? What is the name?
Well, yeah, I mean, so actually, as a kid, so another kind of childhood experience. So my dad was a petroleum engineer, and he worked for Texaco, which was a big oil company of that time. And so at age 10, I started working for him, like that's quote unquote working because I was 10. But he would pay me $1 to graph oil and gas production curves. And so you have a bunch of data and you plot the curves. And when the data runs out, the production data, you extrapolate to zero because, it runs out, right?
Hmm.
And so after I did about five of those, I was like, Dad, they all go to zero. Like, that's the important, I understood that was the important thing was that we're using up a resource that's finite. And so this was before a lot of talk of climate change. So I was thinking more of it, as a kind of energy crisis. And so I decided that I could go into solar. In Colorado, the Solar Energy Research Institute opened up, in 1978. That's the same year that I went into college. And I said, I want to do solar. And they said, we don't have it. And I was like, whoa, okay. And they said, why don't you do engineering? So that's what I did. So I came out 1982 and started working in building energy efficiency. I started understanding then that, yeah, solar is great, but if you design the building better to start with, you're going to need less energy. So I started working in building energy efficiency and some renewables and then sustainability and LEED and all that. But I also saw that that was limited. You know, sometimes our clients were like the Department of Defense. And, you know, the U.S. Department of Defense, our budget, that budget is more than the next 10 countries combined. So a lot of things like that happened where I felt like I wasn't using my skills to the best use. You know, I wasn't doing affordable housing. I was making, you know, the Air Force more efficient. It's like, well, that's not exactly what I was thinking. Yeah. So along the way, I was in the town of Longmont in 2013, and we had this huge flood, and it seemed like climate change to me because it was like a 500-year rain, 1,000-year flood, just really wiped out a lot of the areas of the city. And so I was like, well, I want to be part of the sustainability group, and they didn't have one. And even when we reached out to the city, some people said, well, you know, don't reach out to us with this. And we found out later that a previous city council had told the staff, don't work on sustainability, which was kind of crazy. So I was like, okay, so I started a group called Sustainable Revolution Longmont because I thought, okay, if people aren't going to work with us, it's a revolution. And so we started a youth leadership group. We did a big Earth Day festival. We had 1,000 people show up, the mayor, a bunch of city council people, and we started going to city council meetings. We invited the kids to go to wherever they wanted. We said, do you want to go talk to people? So they went to city council meetings. The kids went to school board meetings. And it changed the course of the city, where they said, okay, all right, we'll do what you're asking, because we had this cohesive voice where together we said, we want to be a sustainability leader. We want a sustainability plan. We want a sustainability coordinator. And they did it. And they actually signed the Ready for 100 renewable energy pledge before Denver did. And so I was like, wow, this is amazing. So you can actually make I felt like I was making a bigger impact there than all my engineering work. You know, not to dismiss that part of it, but having this thing where individuals just get together and have this vision and work on it. It was amazing. And then I moved back to Denver, to my hometown, and I went to stay with my mom, and I was in the same neighborhood where I grew up. And there were a lot of people that were had these big, huge lawns in Denver, even though we're a high mountain desert. This is Denver, Colorado. And I was like, Mom, you've been in the house almost 50 years. You never changed out the lawn. And so I was like, well, I want to join the green team here. And they said, great, you should start it. So I went ahead and I started a green team, and people came out, landscape architects and volunteers from the Botanic Gardens and people who wanted to do alley cleanups, and people just came together. And we actually did a project where we matched $75,000 worth of volunteer effort so that the school could get a $75,000 loan or grant to do a sensory garden for kids with learning disabilities, and it happened to be the school that I went to as a kid. And it was just like, wow, this is amazing. So then I realized nobody's talking about this thing of start a team. All of the advice about the environmental work is, you know, use less energy, drive less, recycle more. But in my mind, the number one climate action, the number one environmental justice step, any of that is start a team. So that was a long answer, but that's kind of the context of how we came up with. In 2018, I started Green Team Academy. It just became a nonprofit earlier this year.
Great, awesome. I just want to know also, at what point in your life journey did you notice or you had that epiphany that things were not the way it used to be when you were a kid? That maybe climate change was having effects on the environment around you.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, so I've written a few books, but the first writing that I had published was when I was also 10 years old. I wrote a poem about the brown cloud, about the pollution that I saw in Denver at age 10. So I did become a climate reality leader in 2017. I did the training in Denver. Um, but even before climate change, I saw pollution happening, and I've traveled around the world. I've seen plastics piling up on beaches, um, and and as far as climate, yeah, growing up in Denver as a kid, we used to have these big, huge snowstorms. As I was saying, making snowmen and having snowball fights, and year by year, by the time I had my kids, that was more and more rare. So yeah, I've been noticing that. I've been noticing, the other thing is that right now, a kid that's born now, that the average wildlife population of birds, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians is now 40% of what it was when I was 10 years old in 1970. So, that means that if for zebras or something, if it falls in that range, that where I had 10 in the world, they have 4. So I've been watching all of that, and that's part of what we do in the Climate Action Challenge. In the book Climate Action Challenge, one of the first things we do is we ask people to reflect. There's a lot of writing exercises. We ask them to reflect on what have you seen change in the world. So yeah, I've seen a lot. I'm 60 now, and I've seen a lot. But I think anybody, even if you're 10 years old, just like I was, I saw it with my own eyes.
Can you tell us more about that? You just imagine that average wildlife population is about 40% now. As a parent who is going to pass on this huge treasure we have to the future generation, how do you feel about that loss? What kind of feeling comes with it? Do you have hope, or is it grief for the loss? What comes to you when you think of those that you enjoyed and your kids might not have the same opportunity that you had?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of grief and there's a lot of loss, and I think that what I love the quote from oh gosh, I just lost her name. I'll think of it in a moment. But she says, "Don't be afraid of your heart breaking, because a heart that breaks wide open can hold the whole world, can hold the whole universe." And I think that's one thing that I also understood, is that I used to think that people don't care enough, but I think what is true is that they do care and they feel powerless. And so, if you care about something but you feel powerless, you have to shut down. Like there's no other way. So we need to be providing ways for people to feel powerful. And that's what we do with the Climate Action Challenge.
And I recall that Al Gore said in his famous documentary, The Inconvenient Truth, and I think at one point in time too, I read a quote by Prince Charles talking about why they got involved in environmental sustainability and climate change work. And usually it's around, because I'm conscious of what my response will be if my kids ask me, since you knew this was happening, what then did you do about it? So can I ask you, what fear drove you to do this work? What question were you trying to avoid from your kids while you're doing this work?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a few things around that. So one is, yeah, I would like to do, what I'm trying to do is redefine what it means to be a good parent.
Mm.
Because um, I feel like my parents were very good people, but they also didn't really kind of, they didn't recognize what was happening to our food system. They didn't really recognize that what was happening to the environment as far as the degradation. They would feed the homeless. They would teach people how to read. They did a lot, but they didn't they had a blind spot about the environment, and that's what so I have a granddaughter that will be born around in a month. I want her to know that my job number one is protecting the planet for her and the future generations. And so I have a rule in the book that I recommend people adopt, which is called 2% for life. For life.
2% for
So,
life.
yeah, 2% for life for life. And so 2% for life means that 2% of your week,
Mm.
so 2% of 168 hours is 3 hours. And so, what if, because we have been gifted this opportunity to live on this beautiful planet, what if we gave back 3 hours?
Mm.
So, you live in a home. If you didn't take care of your home, the trash would pile up. You wouldn't pay your electric bill. Like, it wouldn't work. And so this is the same idea, is 3 hours a week to take care of your planetary home. And so that 2% for life means 2% taking care of life, but
Mm.
also for life, forever. 3 hours a week forever is what the kind of, I think that a good parent, that it could be our kind of definition of a good steward, a
Mm.
good resident of the planet would spend at least 3 hours per week. So that's what we do in the International Climate Action Challenge. So the 2021 International Climate Action Challenge, we just kicked off last week to get everybody together. The 90-day challenge goes September 1st to August 30th. You can still sign up by September 10th with 2 people for a team. But yeah, that's one of the commitments, is that it is a team effort, that you have at least 2 members, and that everybody that registers agrees to spend at least 3 hours per week as that, fulfilling your commitment, 2% for life.
Wow, wow, that's quite instructive. Tell us more about the International Climate Action Challenge. To How do people subscribe to it? And what are, apart from the fact that you need to be a team, what if I'm just an individual? How do I become a team?
Yeah, these are all great things. Well, one thing is, if you're not sure how to do it, we're going to put the link in the chat about how you can request the book for free. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so let me tell you a couple things. So, as I was saying before, I think a lot of the environmental messaging is about individuals, and yet what makes the biggest impact is a team. But a lot of people don't know how to get from, okay, well, I'm a person, I have a good idea, how do I get to a team? And everything that we do in the challenge is to help you grow your team, because everybody has the same problems. This is what I wish. So when I wrote the book Climate Action Challenge, it's the book that I wish somebody would have said to me when I was 10 years old or 17 and said, "Here, Joan, here's what you do." Because, people just say make a difference, but everybody has the same things in common. Um, Everybody's too busy. Nobody cares. Nobody has time for this. We have too many ideas. We're not sure what to focus on. We don't have enough time. I can't get people interested in what I'm doing. Those are very common. That is the way it works. And then I tried something, but they told me no. Like, that is the system. And so understanding, oh, wow, that is all going to happen. So to answer your question more directly, so the 2020 International Climate Action Challenge, you can find it from Green Team, TEAM Academy.org, or you can just go to climateactionchallenge.net. If you go to climateactionchallenge.net, you'll see the book and the workbook. You can read the profiles of the teams that went through the challenge last year, and you can sign up for this year. So you were saying, Tosin, okay, I'm one person. How do I become a team? Well, part of what I understand, so I am also a wellness coach. And, let's say you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you, okay, you need to lose weight, you need to get more exercise. Like, that doesn't work, because what you don't need information, you need transformation. And so this is what we are trying to provide, is we're telling people, okay, you have a good idea, but if you just work on it alone, you're going to just be around information. But if you have to get out there and ask people, hey, I'm doing this thing, will you join me? You're pushing outside of your comfort zone. You're going to transform yourself to becoming a leader. So we don't tell people that, but that's what we want. We want them to transform, to trust their ideas, to believe in their ideas, to fight for their ideas, and to accept no from maybe 10 different people before they find someone that says, yeah, okay, I'll do that with you. So that's part of it. That's the first thing, is we're wanting you to push outside of your comfort zone. I mean, you could do a blog about something, but if you want to transform your community, you're going to need a team. So what people do is they sign up for we have a little quick start training, so you get more details about what all is going to happen. And then you register, and then every week we have an assignment that's out of that Climate Action Challenge book. Write your personal hero's journey story. Figure out, why is this important to your life? Understand some of the key principles like biomimicry and indigenous wisdom and systemic oppression. And then you start working on your mission, your goals, your 100 ideal partners. So we want you to feel surrounded by that. You're the solution. So, because a lot of the environmental stuff, it's like, don't do that, don't do this, stop doing that. Like, who wants to be around someone like that? That doesn't attract people. So we flip it around. We want you to realize you're the solution. You're the solution to 100 people or 100 organizations, and we want you to surround yourself with that. And then plan a day of action, and then plan a community forum. But there's all these steps that are in a certain order, and we provide coaching all the way through, and training, and you're part of this portal. We now have 59 teams from 25 countries, and about half of those are in Africa. We have a team from Pakistan. It's so much fun. And that's the other thing, is we want people to stop talking just about climate change. Climate change is a downer. It kind of paralyzes people, but climate action is creative. It's exciting. And so when we say Climate Action Challenge, we're giving this creative, exciting experience to people that they would get if they were trying to get in shape or start a business. So that's our goal.
Thank you. This is very lovely. I'm quite impressed by the quote you shared the other time about what you don't need information. All you need is transformation. That is, using the information you have. Information doesn't transform until it's applied into action, right? That's
Right.
what you're trying to say. Thank you for sharing that. And so, I'm curious to know also, because I always like to ask why about things, why people do things. And now, I live in I'm from Nigeria, and I come from a context where we see the realities of climate change around us all the time. I
Right.
mean, it's in the wind, it's in the water, it's in the sea, the land you lose to, ocean surges and all that. And then I arrive in the United States. Sometimes when I get in conversation with people or start talking about climate change, especially people who do not believe so much in climate change, and some of the impacts we see or people in global south see, they are not sort of visible here. So how do you encourage people who do not really see the direct impact of climate change, aside from the fact that maybe you notice this snow was not the way it used to be before, and so it's easy for some people to deny the realities because you got the infrastructures and the resources to quickly adapt when each time there's an extreme weather storm and all that. How do you get them to believe this message of climate change and also to be motivated to get involved in the action that is required?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. So you're saying, that yeah, climate change, the impacts are much more visible in some parts of the world, and that's the climate justice aspect, is those same parts of the world, the Philippines, Africa, island nations that didn't contribute to it are feeling the brunt of it. Well, one of the things that we do is we just ask people, we say you are the expert on your own community. And so this 90-day challenge, we ask if you want to start an environmental or community initiative. Like Malika Yates, who you know, and who is Elite Miss Earth Delaware and also the founder of the Global Ripple Effect Project and leads the Newark, Delaware Climate Reality chapter. She had a bunch of different challenges last year, but one of them is she ended up delivering 3,000 eco-friendly COVID kits in her community. So, it's what we're saying is that if you see something in your neighborhood and it's making you crazy, or at your workplace, or your faith community, or your school, then you are the one. If you're like, why is that garden at the school abandoned? Why isn't anybody doing anything? Well, you're the one. You're the one to do it. And so, again, climate change is a very abstract concept that has a level of powerlessness built into it because you're asking people to change the entire climate. And that's why we talk about starting an environmental or community initiative. If a couple parents, a couple kids, they rehabilitate a community garden at a school, that's going to have positive impacts that are immeasurable. And so we don't ask them to measure it in terms of climate change. We just say, if there's something that you see that your community needs, do it. You're the one, and we'll help you get it. We'll help you figure out how to get the partners, how to get it off the ground. So we're not providing funding, but we're providing you the structure to make it happen.
Thank you so very much. You were gracious enough to share with us the link to downloading that wonderful book you wrote, and I think that's very gracious of you. So if you're listening to us today and you actually are willing to make a change in your community and you need the tools to how to get you involved and also how to catapult and catalyze the passion you have into action, it is a wonderful book that's written, and I'll share the link. And that's the link, right? Yeah.
Yes,
And
exactly.
yeah. Can you tell us a little bit more about the book and why it's important for people to have access to it? And also, why are you giving this out freely?
Well, as I said, it's like there's so much information out there that is, I just think it's unhelpful. You sign up for a large environmental group and they say, go make a difference. Sign this petition, send us money, take this training. But it's like, who actually helps you make a difference? And that's the missing part, and that's the most important part. So that's why our group is called Green Team Academy, is we want you to know that you need to start a team and how you can start a team and how you can actually do it. So yeah, and the more people that get the information, the better. And one thing that we didn't have a really chance to talk about is the stories of the people from around the world and what they were able to do in 90 days. I know, Tosin, you're going to be talking with Darwin Malwele. Darwin came into one of our programs in May of last year and said, I want to plant 10,000 trees. We helped him. He did this exercise of thinking of 100 partners. He reached out to Earth Guardians. He became Earth Guardians Zambia team lead. Now he's the country director for Earth Guardians. You'll hear about his project, but I mean, one of the things they did was start 15 community gardens along the border. So people then had a source of income and food during the pandemic. It's like, so what people are able to do in 90 days with a little bit of structure and accountability and fun is incredible. So I hope you will go to climateactionchallenge.net and click on the link to meet the challengers, because it's just fun and exciting and heartwarming. And I think we need more of that in the environmental movement if we want to attract people to be part of, to be the change.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And lastly, you have an impressive profile of some of the challenges from last year. I was reading through the profiles and the wonderful work they're doing in their communities. So allow me to ask this question. How do you feel when you see the result of your willingness to say yes to the dream and the wonderful creative work that is giving birth to around the world? What form of feelings comes to you? How joyful are you that
it's just incredible. Like we have a community on WhatsApp for our challengers, and so I'm off in time zone by several hours from many of our teams in Africa. So I'm often waking up to photos of people that are out planting trees or meeting with widows and giving them trees, or meeting with a town, or somebody in the Philippines is teaching someone bokashi or whatever it is. Like we're getting that information, and it's a group of like-minded people. So you end up with friends. There's a team from Sudan this time, and they're a very strong team, Action for Earth. They have a lot of people. And like, I didn't know anybody from Sudan, and now I do. And that was one thing that people said going through the challenge was probably one of the best things, is that they make friends with and they help each other going forward, just as Malika and Darwin and our whole community has been doing, connecting me with you. So there you go. That's a good example.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for coming. We're glad that you chose to be with us today. We're also inspired by the wonderful work you do, and we're motivated that you're also providing tools that people need to make a change in their communities. So there was that's one session with us today. We have with us Joan Gregerson, who has provided us with so much deep insights to why she does this work, and also examples, and more importantly, resource that means nobody has an excuse anymore. You have the tool right there for you to get into your community. Start with just one person, and it starts with one leads to two, and together we can really restore the world from the brick that IPCC actually forecast that we are heading, and make it a better world for ourselves and for people in the future. Yeah. And once again, I say thank you so much. And so, viewers, that will be our session with Joan Gregerson this week. And after this session, we have another one with Damon and Umar Aliyu, who also will be sharing about their climate actions in Zambia and also in Nigeria. And so, till we come your way again, in another few minutes, actually, please continue staying tuned, and the channel will be restarting after this session. Joan, thank you so much. I hope we'll have another chance with you again in the future to share with us the success stories, more success stories from the challengers.
Oh yeah, exactly. In December, we're going to be featuring our Impact Summit. We'll be showing the stories of what people were able to do in 90 days.
Mm,
So
mm.
if you get on our list, check out what we're doing. Yeah, if you download the book, you'll be on the list. So you'll hear about that later as well.
Yeah. Once
Thank
again, to download the book, the link is shared on the screen. Go to climateactionchallenge.net/BFBR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
FBR.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much, everybody. And remember, the time for action is now because there
Mm,
is no planet B.
mm.
Thanks, Tosin. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Bye.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Bye bye.